Alright, so this second lesson is about simplifying your code and trying to always go on the simple route, and also trying to avoid reinventing the wheel. This is very important. So we are here in the restaurants activity, as you can see, and we want to refactor something in the filter restaurants method that we just extracted in the last class, in the last video. Alright, so if we look at this method, there's something that I really don't like, and I think that you don't like it either. When the filtering of the restaurants is actually done, as you can see here, there's the calculation of the distance between the user and the app, in the app's restaurants, of course. And you have all of this crazy logic with calculating, considering the radius of the Earth and all that. And I guess that the logic is fine, right? I mean, it works. The only problem is that we don't really want to have this kind of logic. It seems that we are reinventing the wheel and we can just try to use something more simple, something that comes out of the box. So if we go to Google and we just type in calculate distance between two locations on Android, we get to these results, and I think that this one, if we go in here, we can see that we have here a pretty similar approach to what we have so far, and it's pretty long. And as I said, calculating the distance between 2 points seems to be a task that has obviously been approached by somebody else until now. So there's no need for you to reinvent the wheel and create a custom implementation. You can always use something that is already done. And on the second answer here, actually the first answer, there's something really cool, and there's actually somebody saying this, that there's no need to reinvent the wheel for such calculation between two locations. And there's an out-of-the-box method here called location.distanceBetween that does exactly this. And it's pretty simple. It has 3 lines or something. Let's copy paste this, right? And let's go back and delete all of this crazy code that we have. Actually, let's delete this part here and let's leave the log for now. And delete this as well, we don't really need it. And let's go here. Let's paste what we have just gotten from the code, and it's asking me that maybe he could convert this to Kotlin. That would be very kind of you, Android Studio. Thanks for doing this. And it has already done this for me. It obviously asks me to import this, and I'm going to do that because we want to do this. And look how cool this is. Also, the return type here is not really what we want. So let's call this vol distance here. Sorry. Let's call this vol distance and like this. All right. And actually not distance. Let's call this distance result here. And distance result here is going to take the actual result from this distance between. And I guess that we will receive this in meters. So let's divide this by 1000 just to make sure. Let's go back here and paste the first latitude as the user latitude and the first longitude as the user longitude. And do the same for the restaurant here. So let's go and play filtered restaurant dot latitude. Actually, it's first distance. Now it's location. I got confused a bit here, and select latitude. And also the same thing we have to do for the longitude. Let's do here the same thing and select here longitude. And perfect. Right now we have the calculation done as passing distance array, which is an array, and actually this method is going to change this distance array content. So when we are going to access the first element out of the distance array, we are going to get the actual result. So right now let's also copy this here in this log, and look how clean the actual logic of creating and calculating this distance is right now. Let's also make sure that the logic works fine on the app. All right, so the distance has been loaded, but we still forgot something. We have 0 kilometers. So what we have to do is actually set this distance result to the filtered restaurant field. So we go here and say distance equals distance result. And that's much better. But we still have an error now telling us that, hey, we need a int, not a float. So let's go to int here. Just we don't really care about the accuracy of this. And right now the distance has been calculated properly. So we have refactored the code, the app is working fine, and we have cleaned the actual code of doing all this crazy computation here. So the first thing to remember is that we should always take the easy route. When there is an easy implementation that has been already done, don't reinvent this. So before moving into the next lecture, let's do a bit of summary on what we just learned.